not? Another thing that got me, by the way, boy, it brought a tear to my eye. Those Sports Center featured, it's called #SC featured. They do them like once a week, and they replay them throughout the thing.
Yeah.
I have not been able, because a lot of people ask me, "Hey Ross, do you cry easily? Did you cry at movies?" No, because I'm a goddamn man. The one thing that breaks me down though is these Sports Center featured stories, where it's just, I mean, and it's like if you haven't seen it, it's like a 10-minute documentary that they play during Sports Center. That's like something inspirational that went on in the world of sports, and no matter what it is across the board, it gets me.
Yeah,
it gets me every single time.
Sometimes
I gotta check the old ears, to make sure I'm hearing it right. I'm like, am I hearing this right? Because this can't be happening. There's no way this fucking happens.
What is it? Like, what is it that gets? Is it the slow motion? Is it the music? What about the story?
All of it, because each story is unique in its own way, and it gets me in a way like, one of them. Sometimes it's about a child in like some type of Make-A-Wish, sitch, and it gets me because it's like, they gave a blind kid a football and let him run into the end zone, and they stopped this game during like a Pop Warner game and let this kid score, and I was just yes, and that one I was just like, oh my god, I can't.
I can't. Not
and
this
like
early. Not this early.
Exactly, and the parents, just seeing the parents' faces and all that stuff, and being a father as well, and you're like, oh my god, I just and it gets me, and they replay them on different sports centers, so like. It'll get me at different points of the day. Last night it was super late. Last night when I was
just like, oh god,
when I was up, yeah.
Not
I had it on in the background. I was kind of jotting down notes for the show, and super late. This story gets me, and it's like it was this Swedish team of these adventure sports, which I was like, you're not going to get me this time. You're not going to get me on those fucking bullshit adventure sports.
Yeah.
If you don't know what an adventure sport is, it's like, hey, you're going to bike for 150 miles. You're going to kayak there's part of this adventure sport for this thing. It was a team of 4 people. One woman was on the team, three dudes. There was a 14-hour kayak. You're only sleeping like 2 hours a night. You have to bicycle, kayak. You have to run. You have to hike through these mountains. And they have it in like different countries. And it's like this endurance test for like 4 or 5 days, where it's like
I could never.
And no one could ever do this, nor should you want to.
Yeah.
Because when they sat him down at the top of the interview, and they're like, "What's the best way to describe this adventure sport that you're doing?" And they were like, "Well, It's just basically about just survival at this point, because you don't get a chance to eat. You have to pack your own food.
Fun.
Yeah, you have to pack your own food and then sit and eat, and that's part of it is you're carrying your own food. So if you pack not enough food, you're gonna fall off the course and you're gonna lose, or you're not gonna finish, or whatever. It was just like, Jesus, that sounds awful.
That is
all the way around. Every single part of this sounds awful.
Awful.
And these people look like. They're younger than they actually look. So I think this shit that they're doing to their body, I mean, super wet. They look like they've been on the captain of a fishing boat for 80 years. Where you're just like, man, you look like a younger person in your late 30s. Like, you should not look like a weathered sea captain who's been out hunting for tuna for the last 60 years. And you guys are young people, but instead you're destroying yourselves just trying to finish a race with like a tiny trophy. It's not like there's some monetary value at the end. It's not like Amazing Race on CBS where you get like $1 million at the end. You don't really get anything but this.
Who would you even be sponsored by?
I don't even know. I don't know.
Just food?
Yeah, it's just food. And so last night I was like, not gonna get me. You can take your bullshit adventure sports. Like, I don't care who broke a leg and then magically finish the race.
You deserve it.
Not gonna get me.
You're like, you deserve it.
Not gonna get me.
Sure.
So at the beginning of the race, when they're getting ready to go and hike up these mountains and do all this shit, there was this injured dog in Ecuador. They were in Ecuador, And
there's always an injured dog in Ecuador.
Exactly.
They're everywhere.
Exactly. And that's by the way, that's what they told them. So they were like, hey, these dogs are going to be everywhere. Don't feed them, don't do anything. And like the government ends up killing them, or, people kill them. And that's just part of the thing. Like there's these stray dogs in Ecuador.
They just run the town. It's
weird. So they've got their own gang.
It's true.
Their own
like
language.
There's a mayor. You can tell which one's in charge.
Yeah,
and
they deal coke.
It's serious.
So anyways, this dog comes up to him and it's badly injured. It's kind of like it's got these like marks on the body, like something has happened, like it was attacked or hit by something.
It was a snitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was kind of gingerly walking around, and it comes up to this team, and they're like, hey, they're petting the dog, and they gave it some water. And they were just like, oh, man, they kind of felt bad for it. And then somebody came up and said, hey, these dogs are like this in Ecuador. Don't fuck with this dog.
Right.
And the one guy on the team was just like, I didn't want anything to do with it. Like, it looked like it had like a million diseases. And I was, we're just about to start this race. I don't want to get one of the diseases. So,
just
boom.
Fuck their whole shit.
Yeah. And they were like, dude, we're staying away from the dog.
Sure.
The race starts. And so the person who had rubbed the dog on the head, gave it a little scratch on the dome.
Sure.
The dog starts following them through this race. So they're hiking up the side of this fucking mountain, which looks just goddamn near impossible. And the dog is following them.
And like doing all the stuff?
Doing all the stuff. So like, you're like, what? Wait, what the fuck? And like, it's trailing behind them, and these people aren't stopping. They're going on about their race like business as usual,
Right.
B of A. B as A.
You.
B as you. B as you.
Usual.
Whatever. I'm not. I can't spell very well. Never been good at the Chinese alphabet.
Anyway, so they just keep.
This dog's falling up the mountain. Dog's following up the mountain, and it was just like.
So did they go?
All right. Yeah. So you rest for like 2 hours. And then you go through like the biking portion, and like the dog followed them through like the biking portion and was like behind them.
Like running?
Just gingerly walking, trying to keep up. Like, and it was doing it. And they were like, oh my God. So by the end of this night, they get there and they're like, shit. I mean, the dog is exhausted. Just nuked. The dog was nuked to start with, and they can't figure out how this dog is doing this. And it felt some type of kinship to these people. So, again, you can't go and just buy extra food or whatever. Like whatever food you have on you is what you have on you.
Did they give him some food?
They gave the dog some food, some meatballs.
Stop.
They had these meatballs for protein. And they gave some, and the team decided, they were like, all right, the dog has become part of this team. I know.
I'm going to cry.
They gave the dog some meatballs. And so the dog is able to go on the next leg of this adventure. And the final leg is this kayaking thing. And they got a kayak for 14 fucking hours down these like dangerous rivers. And there's like a marshal at each of these stops every day of these events that you have to do. The marshal's like, I'm sorry, you can't take the dog with you on this kayak event. Like it's too dangerous. You can't put a fucking dog in a kayak. If you guys turn over, you're going to kill this dog. So you're going to have to leave the dog. And so the four of them collectively looked at this dog, and they were like, shit, we have to finish this race. We traveled all the way from Sweden. We got to finish the race. So at that point, they had decided we're leaving the dog here on the river, and we're going to say goodbye at this point.
Okay.
So they get in the kayaks. They start going down the river. The dog jumps into the river.
Stop.
And starts paddling after the people.
Stop.
Yes. So the dog's in the river just trying to catch up, and the guy's just like, then he starts welling up.
He's got to grab it.
He's welling up, and he goes, I knew at this moment, like that it wasn't about the race anymore, finishing first or trying to finish first. He goes, it was about the dog in this team. And he goes, we stopped the kayak, and he goes, put the fucking dog in the kayak. And that's when, and he's crying. I am literally
bawling.
I'm like, oh my,
by yourself.
And now I'm in it. I'm rooting for the team and the dog, and they've got cameras there. They've got a picture of the fucking dog in the kayak, and I'm like, oh my god, this is, and I'm rooting for them. I'm fucking crying.
Sure.
They finished the race with the dog. Now afterwards, they don't know what to do with the dog because they were like, hey, is there some place we can take the dog to, somebody will watch it, somebody will do whatever. And then we're like, no, the country, they're just going to kill the dog. Like, it's too mangy.
You have to keep
it's
the dog.
whatever.
You've gone too far.
Yeah. And the one guy was like, I'm taking the dog. So we took the dog back to Sweden and retired from the thing. And the dog is alive and healthy to this day, and was like driving in the car with him at the end. He's got pictures of him and the dog all around his house. And I'm like, it was like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm just bawling. I mean, just absolutely. And I was like, oh my God. And again, hashtag SC featured, SportsCenter feature, got me again. And I was like, oh boy, I can't believe it.
Wow.
I cannot believe they got me on this weird adventure story.
If you don't cry at that, you're a monster.
I know.
You're a monster.
You are a monster. You're a monster.
Anything with